My name is Persuasive. Thanks for being here to listen to my speech today. 3 words. I hate you. Imagine you're texting in a group chat with a few of your friends, and one of them sends a pretty embarrassing picture of you that they snapped a few nights before. You respond to the text with 3 words. I hate you. Maybe since you're texting your friends, you're not bothered by the picture that was sent because you guys joke around with each other all the time, so you mean it in a sarcastic and joking way. Since this is all happening over text, your friend who sent the picture reads the words, I hate you, and gets very upset because she thinks that you're actually mad at her, and now you hate her because she sent an embarrassing picture of you to a bunch of your friends. So then she starts texting all the other girls in the group chat, freaking out because she thinks her friend now hates her, and a whole dramatic situation is created over a 3-word text message. Maybe the whole situation would have been avoided if the emotion behind the text message was able to be understood by seeing the person's facial expressions and hearing the tone of their voice. Yes, texting is very convenient, but there are certain conversations that should not happen over text. According to Bustle.com, there are 7 conversations that should never happen over text. Several examples of these are any argument whatsoever, serious business discussions, letting someone know about a serious illness, big life decisions, and breakups. There are many reasons for this. One of the main reasons is that it is very difficult to interpret the emotion behind the message. Another reason is that the message may be misconstrued as insensitive or uncaring. Electronic communication should not replace face-to-face communication for important issues because it is susceptible to misinterpretation and can cause conflict. Body language, facial expressions, and the tone and inflection of your voice are all major components of effective communication. If even one of these elements is absent, the entire message can be completely misunderstood. We've all read a text or email and been confused about the emotion behind the message. This is because it's very difficult to convey emotion through written communication. According to UCLA professor Albert Merabin, 58% of communication is through body language, 35% through vocal tone, pitch, and emphasis, and a mere 7% through the content of the message. Everyone knows that good communication is essential for any relationship. And a question posed by PsychologyToday.com is, why do people attempt to resolve a disagreement using only 7% of your full expressive potential? Would you run a marathon with 7% of your physical strength? Or take an important test with 7% of your intelligence? Would you host a holiday gathering with only 7% of your house clean? And that's a generous 7%. Consider all the annoying slips of a finger that can interfere with clear communication. When the difference between mad, sad, bad, and glad is one wrong movement of your thumb, and you don't take the time to reread your long paragraph you just typed up, they can be mistakes that are costly and confusing. In order to help convey a written message, senders may choose to use emojis as a way to show expression within their note. This can be used as a substitute for facial expression that would be used if you were talking face-to-face. With that said, emojis can be interpreted differently by each individual. According to emojipedia.org, the name for this emoji is a grimacing face. To one individual, it can mean that you are upset, disgusted, or disapproving of their message, when in fact, you could mean it as nervous, unsure, or concerned. There are over 100 emojis with facial expressions, and it is very unlikely that each person knows the true intended meaning behind every single emoji. This is how a message can be misread. When the sender is using one or more emojis within a message, the reader may become confused as to whether they truly mean the emotion that they are relaying because they can be conflicting emotions. Interpreting the emotion behind a written electronic message is one of the major issues when discussing important topics, but another issue is how it contributes to insensitivity. Sending a text message or email to someone when dealing with highly personal and important subjects can contribute to conflict and is considered very insensitive. When my grandma passed away this past summer, we were overwhelmed with people's condolences and generosity towards our family. But one thing I remember is something I overheard my dad saying. He said that he had received a text message from a friend of his from college, saying he was sorry to hear about my grandma's passing. Yes, it was nice of him to reach out, but this was very upsetting to my dad. They were very close in college, and they had a relationship like brothers. So it made my dad upset that he couldn't take the time to pick up the phone and call him to have a meaningful conversation. In this situation, a text message seemed to lessen the importance, and it indicated that a major event in my dad's life wasn't important enough for a phone call from someone he considered a brother. That is just one example of how using electronic communication can be considered insensitive, and a much better way of communicating would have been a phone call if face-to-face wasn't an option. According to mojohelpdesk.com, one of the greatest skills in life is the ability to communicate effectively. In today's society, a significant amount of communication is in the form of written, electronic correspondence. This website goes on to list ways to avoid sending text messages or emails that can be easily misinterpreted. This supports the contention that there can be conflict created from misunderstood written communication. Even though we have become a society which is dependent on electronic communication, it is still imperative that we maintain face-to-face conversations as much as possible, particularly for important issues. When possible, it's very important to talk about important issues face-to-face, rather than overwriting on electronic devices. According to insights from analytics.com, there are 8 reasons to have face-to-face communications. The reasons are because face-to-face communications establish more trust than other modes of communication, it is more likely to be perceived as credible, it's more productive than other modes of communication, it's more efficient than other modes, and there is less likelihood for misunderstanding or misinterpreting. Face-to-face communication allows for better rapport and trust building than audio or written communications, which can make the difference in reaching agreement, ensuring that each party understands the other, and closing a sale. IFA.com also states that 89% of American workers say email, text, and voicemail get in the way of their workplace relationships. 87% of American workers say that email is not an effective way to resolve workplace confrontations, and 67% of senior executives say their organization would be more productive with more face-to-face communication. According to Chapter 7 in the textbook Communication Matters by Corey Floyd, the relational maintenance behaviors theory explains how we maintain relationships and specifically focuses on the primary behaviors that we use to do so. In that list of behaviors is not using electronic correspondence to discuss important issues, because in order to maintain a healthy relationship, we need to be able to talk face-to-face and understand the emotion that others are trying to convey in their messages to each other, which creates mutual understanding and allows conflicts to be less severe. In conclusion, electronic communication should not replace face-to-face communication for important issues because it is susceptible to misinterpretation and can cause conflict. While it may be efficient and considered the new norm, it should not replace face-to-face communication when discussing important issues. Mainly it's because it is very difficult to interpret the emotion behind the message, and it can contribute to more conflict and feelings of insensitivity. It is crucial that we as a society regain communication skills and that many people have lost, and that we make it a point to use in-person encounter for important issues rather than turning to our electronic devices. Thank you.